So I'm gonna make you a social machine. What's good, fam? It's your boy Matt, and welcome back to another video. Hope you still enjoyed the intro. It's super fabulous, and I'm ready to hit this video. First and foremost, I hope that you all had a great Christmas and that you're all looking forward to New Year and that you're all writing down plans. Maybe some of these advice can be in your New Year's resolution. Now, I didn't know in which step to make this video because I want to really bring you into the depth and how give all my knowledge for free to you people, give the kind of knowledge that maybe social consultants charge a lot of money for. I'm just gonna give it to you for free. How do you start this? And the way that I'm thinking this, the way this is going to work is that I'm just gonna give a rough overdraft over the situation at first. I'm gonna show you the whole picture as a whole and explain it in a way that beginner's level. So in case that you have no experience, no self-confidence or nothing like that at all, this video is really for you. For the people that kind of knows how to do it, it's just a good way to check if you have missed something. And then as we keep going through the videos, you're gonna get more and more in depth on, for example, how to really create value, what is value, and stuff like that. So today we're gonna talk about how to make conversation with someone that you have never met. Let's do this. All right, so the first thing to know about a conversation, the first thing is purpose. Yes, purpose. What's the purpose of the conversation? This might sound weird, but trust me, without the purpose, your conversation is worth nothing. The purpose is why you're doing something. Quote from a guy called Friedrich Nietzsche or something like that, I'll put it down below, says, if you know the why, then you can live almost anyhow. This means is if you know why you're doing something, adapting yourself to acquiring that goal or achieving it is gonna be way more easier, or else you're gonna wander in the wilderness not knowing in which direction you're going. A purpose can be anything. For example, purpose can be being able to be spontaneous in a conversation. It doesn't have to be harder than that. A purpose can be being able to talk to a person that you fancy, being able to talk to a person that you respect in business, or just being able to talk up to a person about anything and see how crazy you can be before people are just gonna walk out on you. The most important step. If you don't have a purpose, the rest won't work. If it works, then, well, guess what? Beneath there somewhere, there was a purpose. All right, how to initiate the conversation? How do you do this? This is, I think, what people fear the most. How do you start talking to somebody? This is really scary, right? Well, I'm gonna give you a couple of examples, but the main thing in this step is that you have to make the person that you are going to want to talk to or converse to, you have to make them feel wanted. If you can make them feel valued, then they're gonna return that in some way. Even if it's turning you down, that's still returning a response, which we're gonna talk about in a second. So how do you make someone feel wanted? Without going too deep, it's about creating value to the person, making yourself seem valuable and making them feel valuable, because people want to feel good. If you can make a person feel good, they're most likely going to want to be around you. So the number one step is try to smile. Yes, if you smile to a person, the likelihood of them be at least smiling back is gonna be very much higher than if you're not smiling. Okay, so just smile. We all look different when we smile. Smile, be happy to them. And what I usually do is it's like some kind of like, you don't think about it. And this is kind of, it's like the secret, super secret. This is the $1 million secret. So every day nowadays, we walk around with these, right? We walk around with earbuds because we listen to, I don't know, podcasts, sound books, we listen to music and whatnot. So this is a very nice advice. Maybe you can't use it all the time. Maybe you can, just go for it. But if you see someone that you want to make conversation with, first of all, you make eye contact with them. It's very important. Try to smile and then fake saying hello, but don't make a word. So basically like this. That's it. I just said hi, but I didn't make a word. And what you do after this is very important. You do this. Hi. Or you take this one out. You see what I did there? The $1 million move. You take out your earbud. Now, why is this important? The reason that this is important is that all of us today, we are so busy in our lives. We're so busy listening to things, music, conversations, podcasts, whatnot. But if you walk up to a person and you start smiling to them, you're kind of saying hello, but you're not making a sound, but they can see your mouth, because usually there can be a lot of like sounds around you, so they're not going to hear you say anyways. But then you're going to remove the earbud, which means that you are currently, without saying anything, telling them that even though I have this thing on, this right now, when I'm up until the point when I walk up to you, this is the most important things that I want to hear right now. I am totally shutting out my surrounding with this. But you are more important than this. So I'm going to remove the earbud from my ear and make you the most important thing for me right now. That's what you are actually telling people when you're removing it. And maybe you're not thinking about it, or maybe you know that somebody's taking off the earbuds because you're friends. I'm not talking about doing it with your friends. I'm talking about doing it to a complete stranger. This is important, but you are more important right now. That's what you're telling the other person. All right, so that's my quick tips on how to initiate a conversation. If you don't have earbuds or earphones, you can just, say hi and use your surroundings. If you're in the same class, maybe you can say, did you figure out the equation from the last lesson? It's a good one. Be creative with that one. But the main goal is to make the person feel valued, or say something that can connect to the other person. How could we survive this class without coffee? Or what would we do without tea? Things like that. Make the person feel engaged. All right, so right now we have made the initiative. We are currently entering into the conversation. Boom, we made it in. All right, so these following steps are basically going to be try to keep the conversation alive as long as possible without making it redundant. Pay attention to that, because I'm going to come back to that later with the redundant part. So when you're talking to a person, I think it's very important that you're paying attention to what the person actually says. This sounds duh, but it is very important. Sometimes I struggle with it because I have so many things going on in my head, but make your conversation partner a priority. If you don't, they're going to notice and the conversation will die right there on the spot. Another thing that you want to do in the conversation is recap things that the other person said that you find interesting or agree with. For example, if you start off a conversation with agreeing with some things and repeating says, yeah, I actually think that also a good idea. Or, I didn't know that you would also thought this was because I think this is a great thing, or something like that. Repeat the things that says, oh, I didn't actually know that this is the way that things were. Because when you are first agreeing to them, you're building up this positive surrounding, and then you can start questioning if something that you want to say, I don't agree with this. If you start with that, you might as well, it might be a good thing, but for the conversation's sake, we start with the repeating and agreeing, and then you can shift over to whatever you want to discuss if you want to discuss things later. If you cannot find something that they say directly interesting, try to find something that they say and relate it to something that you find interesting and think would add value to the conversation. Now, these things sound so obvious, but when you're standing up there and talking, they're not that obvious. So I'm just gonna bash these simple, plain ideas into your head because they are what works. For example, if somebody's talking about economics and you're feeling that, while economics is kind of important and somewhat interesting in some cases, maybe you like it all the time, maybe this other person likes it all the time, how can you make your interest of gaming relate to that? Maybe you will talk about how the different stores will raise the prices and then lower them on Black Friday to make it look like a big sale, but it's actually the normal price. Something like that. That could also keep the conversation going and also switch them kind of to your topic where you can show your knowledge. So let's say we've been talking for a while, we've been talking about a lot of interesting things, we're both engaging in conversation, we're both paying attention. But now you're noticing that the things that you talk about keeps revolving around the same things. You keep saying the same thing over and over again, and things are just becoming very redundant. The word redundant basically means that you're just putting things that isn't adding any more value or adding anything new, which basically means you're just talking about nonsense. And this is where the conversation can go from being a high quality, good conversation to going to become something annoying, and it's going to end up being a one-time conversation with that person. So know when you hear these things that they just keep revolving around the same subject or the same things, keep talking over and over again, that's where you know that you have to end the conversation. You have to pull the plug. You can do it. All right, so how do we pull the plug? Well, I think that just a simple way to pull the plug is to say that I've been really enjoying this conversation. Unfortunately, I must go, but you know what? I would love to talk more about this, or I would love to talk more to you later sometime. And when they will reply with, "Oh, thank you for this," or whatever they reply, what you do is to not walk away right at this moment. This is the moment that you can set the beginning of a new conversation later on. And a great advice is just decide if you're gonna meet up later right at the spot. For example, after the conversation, you say, "Well, this has been amazing. I've loved this conversation. Great speaking with you. Would you want to grab coffee tomorrow and talk more about this," or something like that. If you don't drink coffee, grab tea, grab water. Ask them if they, that was a weird breathing. Ask them if they want to go for a walk and talk more. If you ask them straight away that I would love to talk more about this, then you're basically just showing them that I currently I cannot add more value, but I would love to do it at a later time, and I think that you are a great person to talk to. And it's gonna make them also feel good, because then they're gonna feel prioritized, which they should, because you have decided so. And you make up a time to, or a place to meet at a later point. And that's how basically how you find a purpose, you find a target. So you're going to need to find someone to speak to. You initiate on them, you keep the conversation going, and then you notice when the conversation is going kind of south, that's when you have to end it. And maybe just don't have to, don't take this too literally. Don't be like, if you hear someone repeat the same thing 4 times or 3 times, so I must go see you tomorrow. That's not gonna work. You have to go by feeling, and feeling is something that I cannot teach. I can just give you the basics, and this is the basics. I think this is a little bit more than the basic, but this should be enough to teach you about conversation. I hope that this video made a little bit of sense. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that I at least gave you some insight. Remember that I am not a super expert, but I have my fair share of knowledge of just socializing and communicating with people. People are not complicated. People are just like you and me. We want to feel wanted. We want to feel that we are having some kind of meaning. Without meaning, we humans are basically useless. That's what sets us apart from any other living animal on this earth. So if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like, maybe comment. I love comments. Subscribe and hit the bell for more tips. I'm gonna keep on having this one video per week. Hope that you're having a great Christmas and that you're having a great New Year, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for your time. Peace.